Everybody remembers Grease. Almost nobody remembers Grease too fondly, and that's exactly why it's worth talking about. Same high school, same leather jackets, same studio throwing money at a follow-up they thought was a guaranteed hit, and instead they got one of the strangest misfires in movie history. Stick around, because some of this is genuinely wild, including a mystery streaker who grew up to direct real movies. Before we dive in, tap that subscribe button, it genuinely helps a small channel like this one. And drop a comment telling us if you're Team Michael, Team Stephanie, or just here for the motorcycle. Let's start with the actor who almost never got the chance to become a movie star at all. Long before he was leaping off buildings for Mission Impossible, a teenage unknown auditioned for the male lead in Grease 2 and blew the producer away in a living room tryout. Studio executives took one look and passed, deciding he simply wasn't tall enough to lead a movie. That kid was Tom Cruise, and within a few years he was starring in Taps, then Risky Business, then Top Gun. Sometimes getting rejected is the best thing that can happen to a career. He wasn't the only future star circling that casting room. A comedic actor who'd later become a beloved character player auditioned for the same role 5 separate times and never landed it, walking away instead with a scene-stealing supporting part. He said in interviews it was one of the happiest sets he ever worked on, rejection and all. Casting almost went a completely different direction for the glamorous teacher role, too. Producers originally wanted a beloved former teen idol who was, at the time, more famous for a peanut butter commercial than for acting. She turned the movie down because the timing didn't work, and a different 1950s teen idol stepped in instead, meaning 2 real vintage heartthrobs ended up playing 2 fictional heartthrob teachers at the same fake high school. Then there's the transformation that went horribly wrong behind the scenes. One of the actresses playing a pink lady was supposed to get platinum blonde hair to match her character's bombshell look. The bleaching process burned so badly during the process that she says it felt worse than hot coals, and by the next day almost all of her hair had broken off. The studio solution was simply to hand her a wig and keep filming, no apology included. The film's most memorable dance number, the one set in a bowling alley, was shot at a real Southern California bowling alley that no longer exists. The building is now a school district office. Even the high school itself wasn't a real high school anymore by the time filming started, it had just closed for good, and the movie crew moved into the empty building. So basically every filming location from this movie has since disappeared or been repurposed into something completely mundane. The male lead wasn't even considered for the part until producers happened to catch him performing in an edgy off-Broadway play in New York. As the story goes, the playwright Tennessee Williams was in the audience one night, laughing loudly enough to throw off the actor's concentration mid-scene. Producers scouting for Grease 2 were there too, saw his performance, and cast him almost immediately afterward. The iconic motorcycle from the film has its own weird footnote. The actual bike used on camera was a customized vintage Honda, painstakingly rebuilt with special-ordered factory parts. But the toy line released alongside the movie completely botched the details, labeling the bike as a totally different brand that hadn't even been manufactured yet when the story was supposed to take place. If you owned that toy as a kid, you were playing with historical nonsense. One stunt during the movie's climactic motorcycle jump went so far off script that the entire crew briefly thought their stunt performer had died. He was supposed to clear a swimming pool and land safely on the far side, but the jump carried him so far into the darkness that every single camera lost track of him completely. For several tense seconds there was total silence, until the engine roared back to life and he came riding back around, unharmed, ready to nail the shot on the next take. And then there's the film's breakout star, who almost didn't get considered at all. She showed up to the open casting call in a short skirt and go-go boots, surrounded by roughly 1,000 professional dancers auditioning for the same role, convinced she had no shot. She wasn't a trained dancer or singer, spent most of the process hiding at the back of the line, and only got noticed because she was eventually the last person left standing. She got the part, and while the movie tanked, her career very much did not. She went on to star in Scarface, The Fabulous Baker Boys, and Batman Returns, earning multiple Oscar nominations along the way. Financially, the numbers tell the whole story. The original Grease had made well over $100 million. The sequel barely cleared $15 million against an $11 million budget, which quietly killed a planned four-movie franchise that was supposed to march the story all the way into the counterculture era of the late 1960s. A later attempt at a legitimate Grease 3 in the early 2000s actually got surprisingly far, reportedly eyeing two of the biggest pop stars of the era to play the children of the original film's leading couple, before the project collapsed over licensing rights. Critics were merciless at the time, and the film has stayed a punchline for decades. And yet it never fully went away. Cable reruns kept it alive through the 80s and 90s, and it eventually spawned an honest-to-goodness stage tribute show in London that sold out multiple runs, with the original leading man returning decades later to perform in it himself. One lead's career stalled out almost overnight after this movie, while his female co-star rocketed to stardom within a year. He said publicly that it took him roughly a decade to really get past how differently things turned out for the two of them. Funny enough, the film that seemingly ended his momentum is the exact reason people still talk about him at all, more than 40 years later. So that's the story of the sequel nobody asked for that somehow refuses to be forgotten. Which detail surprised you the most? Let us know down in the comments, and if you liked this one, subscribe for more deep dives into the weird corners of movie history.